Hello and welcome to this new video about fashion history. So the last one I made was about Versailles as a fashion system and a system of control. And I told you that I was going to make a video about Marie Antoinette as a fashion icon. First of all, I'm sorry if I sound a bit weird because I'm sick, so I might sound a bit nasally and out of breath, so I apologize for that. So today's video is going to be focusing, as I said, on Marie Antoinette and how she was not only a controversial political figure, but also a fashion icon that is still remembered today. So as a quick recap of my previous video, so I explained that Versailles was a stage of power and everything was used to demonstrate how powerful you were and how influential you were in the court. So it started with Louis XIV and then Louis XV and then Louis XVI, who was the husband of Marie Antoinette. So all the ceremonies, all the dresses, all the clothes were used as instruments of power in the courts. Dress at court was governed by court etiquette, rank hierarchy, and ritualized access, and all the clothing signal proximity to authority. So fabrics, embroidery, jewels, all of those were legible markers of status. So we talked about the levee of the king, which was the king dressing ceremony, and the queen also had this dressing ritual. It was less important, but it was still a public ceremony that a lot of people wanted to attend. So noble women were always competing to dress the queen and to help her in her toilettes. And those rituals reinforced aristocratic dependency upon royal favor. Marie Antoinette arrived in France in 1770 as an Austrian archduchess. She entered this highly codified visual regime, but she quickly grasped the symbolic importance of fashion. But she did not merely submit to it, she also personalized it and intensified it. Her early years at court were marked by increasingly sophisticated dresses, featuring expensive paniers extending dramatically at the hips, heavy silks, brocades woven with gold and silver threads, imported lace of exceptional cost, ostrich plums, and towering powdered hairstyles. So I want to talk about an important fashion figure who helped Marie Antoinette develop her personal style, and that figure is Rose Bertin. Her collaboration with her proved decisive. Bertin is often described as the precursor to the modern fashion designer, and she helped transform the queen into this European trend-setting authority, and she also elevated her own profession to the role of a tradeswoman to a real artistic collaborator. So those are some things that become popular under Rose Bertin's guidance. So we have the towering pouf hairstyle, sometimes adorned with symbolic miniatures, including ships commemorating naval victories. We also have the softer pastel silks that modify the rigidity of traditional court dresses. We also have the rapid cycles of seasonal novelty that created anticipation at Versailles. So she did not invent court extravagance, but she accelerated fashion rhythm of change and heightened its theatrical dimension. So fashion became a spectacle, a ongoing exhibition of novelty. So for Marie Antoinette, fashion was never politically neutral. As a Austrian-born, she was always scrutinized. Pamphleteers portrayed her wardrobe as a evidence of moral and financial corruption, and the nickname Madame Deficit crystallized this narrative. Though France's fiscal crisis mostly stemmed from structural taxation inequality, mounting state debt, and the enormous cost of foreign wars, particularly France's involvement in the American Revolution, the Queen's expenditures, though substantial, were not the root cause of French bankruptcy. Nevertheless, her consumption made her an ideal scapegoat. So I wanted to talk about a specific fashion moment of Marie Antoinette, which is the Chemise à la Reine. This pivotal transformation happened in the 1780s. It was immortalized in 1783. in a portrait by Elisabeth Vigée-Lebrun. The garment was a lightweight white muslin dress resembling undergarments rather than formal court attire. It rejected rigid corsetry and heavy brocades in favor of flowing natural lines. The public reaction to this dress was swift and hostile. Critics claimed that the queen appeared improperly dressed, even indecent, and the portrait was withdrawn shortly after it was exhibited. But the scandal was not only moral, it was also economic. French silk manufacturers, especially in Lyon, objected to the promotion of cotton muslin, often imported and perceived as undermining domestic silk production. So what appeared to be aesthetic simplicity also had economic implications. But the chemise was revolutionary in several aspects. It reflected Enlightenment, inflected ideas of naturalism. It popularized lighter fabrics among elites, and it anticipated the neoclassical silhouettes that will dominate post-revolutionary fashion. And ironically, what was condemned as inappropriate became one of her most enduring fashion legacies. Marie Antoinette's fashion legacy cannot be separated from her retreat to the Petit Trianon gifted to her in 1774 by her husband Louis XIV. At the Petit Trianon, she cultivated a more intimate aesthetic world. She adopted simplified dresses, straw hats, and a pastoral imagery. Adjacent to it, the constructed rustic hamlet known as the Hameau de la Reine allowed the queen and her circle to inhabit an idealized vision of rural life. This pastoral mode resonated with intellectual currents influenced by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, whose writing valorized nature and simplicity over artificial court society. However, critics perceived contradiction rather than philosophy. A queen performing rustic simplicity while peasants were facing material hardship appeared detached from reality. Marie Antoinette's influence extended well beyond Versailles. Her patronage supported the Lyon silk industry and Parisian luxury trades. Fashion cycles accelerated during her reign, and engraved images of her attire circulated across Europe. Her public appearances were reported, replicated, and imitated. And so in many respects, she prefigured the modern fashion celebrity. Her image was widely reproduced. Trends associated with her spread internationally, and public admiration blurred admiration and moral outrage. Caricature exaggerated her hairstyles and gowns to grotesque proportions. Her body was rendered symbolic of decadence and injustice. And in visual propaganda, fashion ceased to signify refinement, it signified corruption. After the October days of 1789 and the relocation of the royal family from Versailles to Paris, her wardrobe significantly simplified. Darker colors and restrained silhouettes replaced flamboyant display. At her 1793 trial, she appeared wearing plain white. Before her execution, her hair was cut short, and she wore a simple white dress stripped of any ornaments. But her fashion legacy did not perish with her. In the 19th century, romantic historians reframed her as this tragic heroine, and in the modern era, designers and filmmakers have continuously revisited her image, most notably in Marie Antoinette by Sofia Coppola. So Marie Antoinette is not remembered as a fashion icon nowadays just because she was well dressed. She understood clothing as a performance within a rigid ceremonial system. In studying Marie Antoinette as a fashion icon, we move beyond caricature. We see instead a woman navigating identity, foreignness, visibility, and authority within one of the most visually demanding courts of European history. Thank you for listening to this video until the end. Enjoyed it. I make other videos about culture, most specifically about fashion history and art history, but I also talk about other topics on this YouTube channel. So if that's something that you like, you can follow me and it will greatly support me. And I'll see you next week for a new video. Bye!